He says, I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge. And my judgment is righteous, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him that sent me. He says, of that day knoweth no man, no, not the angels, nor the Son, but the Father in heaven. In my knowledge I am not like God. In my power I am not like God. So all power is given unto me, it is not mine. I by the finger of God cast out devils. I by the Spirit of God do these things. Where does he say that he is doing the works? That it is his power, he is doing it? Nowhere. And Peter testified in the quotation that the doctor gave. Peter in the book of Acts testifies. He says, ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you. A man, not God, approved among you. A man. He quoted it, but of course the quotation went off such like water and duck's back, you people hardly apprehended anything. It says, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him. He didn't do it. Which God did by him in the midst of you, which you also know. I said, look, we agree with that. The Quran testifies to that effect, that he gave life to the dead by God's permission, he healed those blind and the lepers by God's permission. We agree with that. But I said, look now, your interpretation, your reading, you are reading into your own scripture something that is not there and which is contrary to what Jesus claims. He's teaching us, come, I'll teach you how to pray. It's a pray like this. Say, oh, our Father which art in heaven. Our Father, yours and mine, including Judas. Not the Father of Jesus Christ in heaven. Hallowed be thy name, singular. Thy name. Thy will be done. Thy, as it is on earth as it is in heaven. Where does he say, I'm God? Where does he say, worship me? Nowhere. Nowhere. It is something now, like I just heard on TV, the program of Brother Jimmy Swaggart. He's giving some lessons on TV, and at the end of that lesson on Babylon, one of his panel members, he says, you know, I've been to Mongolia. I just been to Mongolia, and there I went to a Buddhist temple, and there the supervisor, while he was with me, I'm asking him that this wheel, prayer wheel, on which you people are pinning in your prayers in written form, and you turn the wheel, what for? He says, no, this is now, we are asking in this form, asking Buddha for help. But he said, look, I read so many books on Buddha, nowhere does Buddha claim to be God. Nowhere. This is one of our panel members of Jimmy Swaggart says, no one says that Buddha is God. He says, nowhere. He says, yes, that is true, but we say he is God. We make him God. This is the same. What he is talking, laughing at the Buddhists, I said, my brother, you are in the same boat. You are doing the very same thing.
Brothers and sisters, I want you to acknowledge really these two fine champions, two wonderful gentlemen for sharing their valuable time and their energies with us tonight. However you want to acknowledge them. Thank you very much.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
I was born in India, in a village, on the 1st of July, 1918. In August 1927, I reached Durban, South Africa.
This is the Madrasa Arcade in Durban, South Africa.
The curious narrow alleyways of the Madrasa Arcade are familiar to Yaqub Mehtar. Over 50 years ago, he and his young friend Ahmed would wander through the marketplace on their way to the tailor shop of Ahmed's father, Hussein Deedat.
And this is the shop of Mr. Deedat Senior.
9-year-old Ahmed Deedat moved to Durban in 1927 to join his father Hussein, who had settled there a few years earlier. Ahmed's voyage to South Africa had been long and difficult. In fact, he almost never made it to the streets of Durban. Much of the money went to pay for the rent of their small apartment in Ismail Building, next to one of the oldest mosques in Durban. One of Ahmed's neighbors in the building, Ahmed Suleiman Bailin, would eventually become one of his lifelong supporters.
This is the building, and on the right you see this apartment here. Ahmed Deedat and his family stayed, and I used to be his neighbor. Next one, which is in apartment number 2.
You are very close.
So we're very close. In fact, nice people, but their family was very poor people.
Ahmed enrolled at the Anjuman school, where he was in Standard 4. It was the first time he had seen the letters ABC and heard the words yes and no. In 6 months' time, however, he had learned English and became the top of his class. He was promoted to the next standard, where he also excelled academically. Every day he walked to school and back home because his father couldn't afford the bus fare of 2 pennies. He later moved on to Sastry College, a respectable school built by an Indian immigrant to South Africa. Ahmed showed up for the first day of his new school in his clean new uniform, ready to hit the books.
But this is where Ahmed Deedat's education came to an abrupt end. He must have spent only a few hours walking these corridors, because after only 3 days at college, his father pulled him out. Financial considerations put an abrupt end to him furthering his education.
His mission was outside Durban in the rolling hills of rural South Africa. Ahmed took a job in a country store called the O.N. Mohammed Shop. Just across the way was the enormous Adams Mission Complex, an institute where young missionaries learned how to convert others to Christianity.
These missionaries, they were making life miserable for us from this college. They were getting training there as to how to deal with the Muslims. And as they came to do their shopping here, they asked us questions. Criticism, actually. He says, Muhammad has so many wives. I knew nothing about that. He says, Muhammad spread his religion at the point of the sword. I knew nothing about that. He says, he copied his book from the Jews and the Christians. I knew nothing about that. So, what was I as a Muslim to do? I had a natural urge for reading. And one Sunday morning, going into my boss's warehouse, go down, I was rummaging through a pile of old newspapers, looking for some better reading material than newspapers to read. And as I was looking for such a material, I came across a worm-eaten book. This book, we have renewed the cover, but a worm-eaten book. And when I picked it up, I started to sneeze because it was all full of mildew. And I read the title of the book. It said, Izharul Haq. Spelled out in Latin script, IZHARULHAKK, Izharul Haq. Now to me that sounded Arabic, Izharul Haq. It sounds like Arabic. So I didn't know what it meant. I see here at the bottom it says the truth revealed. This was a very old publication, printed in 1915 in India. 2 years older than myself. I was born in 18. These are 3 years older than myself. Now, this book actually changed my life.
Ahmed Deedat now had his armor. His shield would be his extensive knowledge of the Bible and Quran, and his sword would be his frank, piercing style of delivery. In 1940, he took to the stage and began